Welcome to question time. But before we start question time, I have an announcement to make. So please keep your noble silence. Because apparently there are some people who have been breaking the noble silence and have been chatting and have been disturbing others. So that could be really bad karma. They may just be about to have a powerful insight and you go chatting to them. Or they hear you chatting to somebody else. And you could stop someone becoming enlightened. Oh, that's terrible. So please keep the noble silence. If you want to speak, then wait till the morning when you can do the chanting. And then you can exercise your mouth as much as you like. Or wait till question time and ask me a question. Or come to the interviews and you can talk. But outside of those times, shh. And if you see someone else who's talking, instead of going to tell them to be quiet and break the noble silence yourself, see anyone who's talking, you can take one finger, put it in front of your mouth and go. To remind them. And if they try and talk to you, sometimes we feel that we're being unkind or rude not to say something back. So if someone talks to you and asks you a question, you can just put one finger in front of the mouth and go, shh, to remind them. Of course, it's difficult because in the evenings we have people from outside coming in, and sometimes they come in, they're not on noble silence, and they're talking all the way in. And then after the talk, talking all the way out. They're not talking. So you have to, don't be hijacked by their talkativeness. You keep quiet. Shh. Because if you can't find, you keep the noble silence, you're nice and quiet, there's a good chance that your mind might be quiet. But if you can't keep your mouth quiet, what chance is there of getting your mind quiet? So, shh. All those who've been talking, no more chance. All the chances have gone now. You have to be very, very quiet. And if I find any of you talking, I will give you 50 strokes of the cat. I can't be mean and nasty. But please, out of compassion, and out of respect for me, out of respect for the rules, be quiet. Okay, one thing I didn't talk about so far is the walking meditation. I'll just give a little bit of instructions here. When you're doing walking meditation, it's no different than the sitting meditation. You start off with present moment awareness. So you bring yourself to where you are, into the here and now. So you don't worry where you're walking to. You don't be concerned about where you're walking from. The meditation behind you, the meditation in front of you, you don't even care about. All you're concerned about is the step which is happening now. Present moment awareness. You're silent, you try not to have a commentary, not to start thinking about the Dhamma. Sometimes people can have a walking meditation, they can give a talk even longer than I talk. So shh, be quiet. So silence. And then you can put all of your mindfulness on the feet, just as they're walking. Just as you put your mindfulness on the breath, in breath, out breath, in breath, out breath. You can do mindfulness of the feet, left foot moving, right foot moving, left foot moving, right foot moving. As you get deeper into the walking meditation, you can actually see the beginning of the left foot stepping, the middle, the end. See, it's a full flow of stepping. Just like you watch the beginning of an in-breath right through to the end of an in-breath. When you take your balance after the left step is finished, you see the pause between the steps, just as you see the pause between the breaths, the in-breath and the out-breath. And then your right foot starts to move like the breath going out. You see the whole movement of the feet. And you focus your attention there and you get so still, so peaceful, so alert, and actually so happy. So you can see how both meditations They work together. And you remember to start the walking meditation as soon as you stand up from your seat. So there should be no gap, no transition between the sitting and the walking, sitting and the walking. If you want to know how long you should sit and how long you should walk, take it naturally. When you feel that the body now needs to get up from the seat, from the chair, and do walking meditation, then do that. Don't give yourself a time limit. I'm going to walk for 15 minutes or 15 hours. Just see what happens. And when you feel it's a time now to sit meditation, stop and sit. Keep it natural. Don't look at the clock. Don't be a prisoner of time. And that way the walking meditation gets very, very peaceful. If you want to do a little more interesting practice, if you're very dull when you're walking meditation, you can try doing the meditation on death, the insight into impermanence, while you're walking meditation. And how you do this, as your left foot moves, you note inside of yourself, you think, I will die. When the right foot moves, that's for sure. Left foot, I will die. Right foot, that's for sure. I will die. That's for sure. I will die. Try that. It's good fun. I will die. Left foot, right foot moves, that's for sure. I will die, that's for sure. I will die, that's for sure. You know what happens? You keep repeating that again and again. After a while, you come across fear. You all know that to be true on the surface, but you don't know it to be true deep inside of yourself. There's always a little bit of denial in there. And that's when you come across the fear, then you know, I will die, that's for sure, is working. And then you go through the fear, I will die, that's for sure, I will die, that's for sure. And you know you've gone through the fear when you really let go and detach. When you know you're going to die, why do you attach to anything? Why are you worried about your relations, your family, the people who have hurt you in the past, the people who will be waiting for you when you come out of here? Why do you even worry about that? You're going to die. Let go. Why are you worried about your finances? You're worried about your health. Why are you worried about the sickness in the body? You're going to die anyway. What's the big deal? You might as well get it over and done with. So I will die, that's for sure. It leads to letting go, a very profound renunciation. So you go walking on that path, and after a while there's nothing left. I will die, that's for sure. All my worries, all my fears, they will die as well. All my possessions will be separated from me. And you allow them to disappear, and you're separated from them. You get so peaceful. That's insight leading to peace. I will die, that's for sure. So that's, in brief, how to do some walking meditation and how to do sitting meditation. Okay, now let's get into the questions this morning. Here we go, number 1. During meditation, at times I see purple lights that move round and in and out of focus. This is before I start focusing on the breath. It feels nice to look at and rather comfortable. Should I focus on this light or should I start following my breath? Many thanks. Sometimes we can get some lights at the beginning of the meditation because they're moving around, they're not stable. If you actually focus on them, they won't last. You've got to build up energy and peace first of all before those lights will be able to remain with you. So my advice would be to go to the breath and get the breath so still and so peaceful and so beautiful. And then when the lights come up, it will be much more stable, it will be simpler, more brighter, full of energy. You have to actually practice actually holding a rough object before you can hold a finer object. So this way of meditation is actually a natural progress. You start with like looking at the body and not interfering with it. Then you start looking at the breath and not interfering with it. And then you may be able to watch the nimitta without interfering with it. But if you try and watch the nimitta straight away, you haven't got the ability, you haven't got the dexterity, the softness, the subtlety to really be able to hold it and allow it to do its purpose. So the advice is, if those lights come up at the beginning, say, thank you very much for coming, very nice, come later. Next question. How would I know that I am in jhanas? If you ask that question, you are not in a jhana. Because in the jhanas, you can't ask questions. The mind is so still and peaceful. So you know you're in jhanas when you come out. Now the trouble is, because Ajahn Brahm talked about all these jhanas, And because I say they're really nice, they're really good, people want them so much. It's spiritual materialism. It's one of the dangers of me talking like this. It brings desire. And because of desire for these attainments, sometimes your perception manufactures them. You actually imagine them. And what happens? You come to me and you say, it's a jhana, isn't it? It's a jhana, Ajahn Brahm. Please, it's a jhana. Please tell me it's a jhana. And I say, no. And then you go to another monk. And you go to the other monk or another nun. It's a jhana, isn't it? It's a jhana. And you keep going until you find one who says, well, maybe. Yes, it's confirmed. Be careful. It doesn't matter. What's most important is you get peaceful, you get blissful, you get still. So just make it peaceful. See how peaceful you can get. If you want to know, as that book which I wrote about the jhanas, it's been translated into Chinese. So you can actually look in that in Chinese, look upon it in English, and it gives all of the details of what is a jhana and what isn't. So you can do the checklist there. But one of the things you will know, if you can hear things, if you can feel your body, it's not a jhana. To be the jhana, the five senses have been so suppressed, you can't hear things, you can't feel things. Number two, most important, you're so powerfully mindful, you're not asleep, you're powerfully mindful. After you come out of the jhanas, wow, you're just full of energy. So much so that, I've seen so many people come out of the jhanas when they just come out and they're just, ooh, they're just full of electricity. And they're just so powerfully still. Sometimes they can't speak to you. They look at you, you know exactly what's happened. They're so empowered, so still, so much energy, sometimes I don't know what to do with it. There's many signs of the jhanas. You're very, very sensitive. So, this is what happens after a jhana. Power. But that is coming soon in a talk which I'm going to give tomorrow night. So I don't want to sort of take up time in one of the talks I'm going to give later. But now the next one. Question. During meditating, I often will reach a stage of nodding around. However, I am aware that I am nodding. Does this nodding refer to tiredness or refer to a process of meditation? It really depends. There's nodding when you're tired, and there's nodding or moving the body due to other things. Sometimes if it's tired, you know you're tired because afterwards you're sort of still a little bit dull. You haven't got the energy. You haven't got the brightness, the jolliness of the mind. Sometimes that's the only way you can know the difference when you start meditating between the stillness of dullness and the stillness of super mindfulness. By its effect afterwards. If you've got really good mindfulness and you're really still afterwards, you feel so bright and energetic. If it's like sleepy mindfulness, when you come out of it, you're still a bit dull and yucky. Okay, but there's another type of nodding or type of moving of the body, and that's just when, actually two more types. One is you're not actually nodding at all, you're not moving, it's just the perception is playing games with you. And many times this happens. People come to me and they say, look, I'm sitting in meditation, I'm quite peaceful, my body starts moving all over the place, it starts rocking. The first time that happened, I said, well, that's really strange because it doesn't sound like you're dull. So the next time I opened my eyes when they were meditating, and I watched them and they were absolutely still. They weren't moving at all. And afterwards they said, I was doing it again, I was rocking. I said, listen, I was watching you. You were absolutely still. If you don't believe me, next time I'll take a video recording of you to prove, because you might think you're rocking, but it's just perception playing around. It gives you the idea that you're rocking, but actually you're very still. What's actually happening there is a part of meditation which I really like to explain, and I enjoy it sometimes. It's called, I just give it the word, perception gaining its wings, because your perception is so conditioned. It's almost like you're a horse with blinkers. This is the way we've conditioned actually to see things, to look at things. From our education, our upbringing, our parents, even your monks. You look at things in one particular way. And when perception gets freedom, it becomes unconditioned. It starts to see things in strange and weird ways. You're still, but you can see yourself walking. And it's like one of the first times this happened to me. I was in our monastery in Thailand, and I went past a washing line, and there was this black towel on the line. And I couldn't. Who's using a black, jet black towel? And I looked at it. Am I seeing things? No, that was black. I stared at it for a couple of minutes. It was jet black. And then suddenly it turned back to white again. I thought, am I going crazy? Am I going mad? Now what's happening? Because I looked at it and it was black. And a second later, it was white. And it was supposed to be white. That was its proper colour. And all it was is my perception was having games with me. Sometimes you can meditate and you feel like you're expanding. Your body's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. You don't hit the person sitting next to you. It's only just perceptions. Sometimes you feel like you're rising in the air. It's great you can have all these perceptions. In the Buddhist text, he said that this is one of the tricks which people with samadhi can do. They can change the perception of darkness into light. So at night time it's as if it's daytime. At daytime it's as night time. You can play around with perceptions like that. It's almost like a little game. And it just actually shows just how the world out there is very malleable. We can take dark and make it light just by the way we look at it. The mind is a forerunner of all things. It's incredibly powerful. We can take pain and turn it into ultimate pleasure. Take pleasure and turn it into pain. Take sickness and turn it into health. Health into sickness. We can do whatever we want if you know how to manipulate perception. So this is actually what's happening. This is one of the first times when your perception is becoming a little bit weird. It's not going along the ordinary channels which you're used to. So your body's actually still, but it feels like it's moving. And the third type of nodding is when, I've mentioned this before, when sort of the body is getting relaxed and peaceful, the chi, the energies are moving in the body, and the chi wants the body to move, and so it does move. So you just leave it alone. There's some sort of healing going on, some sort of energy balance, some sort of unblocking your channels, so you just leave it. In any case, those are the three types of moving in the body. In all cases, you just leave it alone. Don't worry about it. So that's why it's not a problem. Next question to Ajahn Brahm. If pain on the body is too much, should I concentrate on the breath or on the pain? Thanks. If it's too much, then move. Have you heard about compassion? It's crazy sometimes. Because people, they just want to fight through pain. If you fight through pain, you become like a Hindu yogi, not a Buddhist monk. You know, one of the great monks of our tradition, Ajahn Brahm. When I was a young monk, I went to stay with him. He's very, very tough. But when I stayed with him, he gave a talk one night. I could understand this perfectly in Thai. I actually saw a translation of it not so long ago. It must have been a very good talk, which others appreciated as well. But the story I remembered was that when he was a young monk with Ajahn Mun, this great Thai teacher, he had a malaria fever. Instead of resting, he forced himself to get up out of bed and to help with the chores of sweeping. He went against the pain and the tiredness. He was a very strong-minded monk and began sweeping. When Ajahn Mun saw that, he blasted him. He said, "You stupid monk." He said, as a monk, as a Buddhist, we don't fight these things. We investigate them. You don't fight them, you investigate. He said, you should have been up there in your bed investigating your sickness, not fighting it, not trying to overcome it, investigating it. With compassion. And that was a powerful teaching, because that went against the grain of that tradition which always says, fight with pain. He said, no, investigate it. So if you have pain in your meditation, you have to investigate it, not try and overcome it and get rid of it. It's a teacher. When we used to have these mosquitoes biting us in Thailand, hundreds of them, Ajahn Chah always told us to call that Ajahn mosquito. The great Buddhist teachers called mosquitoes have come to give you some Dhamma. So don't try and